Ms. Kochhar, thanks so much for joining in. Now, first, let's just try and get a couple of these numbers out of the way, and then we move on to the broad brush scene as well. What we are guesstimating, if you will, is that this deal would probably mean a direct benefit of anywhere between $750 million to $1 billion coming in for ICICI Bank. These are the numbers doing these rounds. Are we on the button or are we far away from the mark?
Well, I'm not actually supposed to talk specific numbers about specific clients, but yes, indeed, you have numbers in the similar ballpark. I would just like to mention that actually with this deal, what happens for us is that part of the loans get repaid, part of the loans become non-SR exposures because they get transferred to another group. So actually for us, almost 50% of our current SR group exposure either becomes a non-SR group exposure or gets repaid. Wow.
The street also, prima facie, Ms. Kochhar, is working with one number right now coming in via the operating company structure from SR to you. Is there any other thing that happens? Because for example, for Essar Steel, people are saying that the only benefit that banks can hope for is some equity infusion by promoters, and that's about it. But are we missing something else out here that you would be privy of? May not be numbers, but any other angle that you would want to share with regards to this deal?
No, I think there are a lot of positive implications of this deal. Just talking about first the impact on lenders itself. One is that the lenders at the holding company get repaid, or some part of their debt moves to a non-SR group debt. Secondly, even for the Indian lenders here, which are in the operating SR group companies, a large part of the debt will become non-SR exposure. You can broadly consider that maybe loans of almost 40,000 crores for the Indian banking sector itself will become either non-SR exposure or will get resolved. And then I think it also means the ability of the group to focus on the rest of the companies that they are left with, so that one can work on towards resolution on those as well. Yes, equity infusion, etc., would be required in those companies, but at least it means more focus, and more possibility of doing such things. On the overall basis, I think what we must recognize is that some of these deals that we have been working on, for example, the sale of Jayaprakash cement deal, or taking a company like Gammon and breaking that into 3 parts and selling each of the parts to a different owner, I think all this means a huge focus on resolution, and that is a very positive impact for the Indian banking industry.
Yeah, in fact, that was going to be my next question, Ms. Kochhar. From large to mid to small, we're seeing a bunch of people doing this. I mean, this morning we had a small sugar company which is selling off a price sugar plant in order to meet its debt repayment problems as well. Are you seeing this increasing in your conversations with corporate India, wherein large indebted companies are saying that, hey, we want to deleverage and repay the banks so that we can continue business further? Is this a trend that you're witnessing?
Well, I think it's also, quite a bit driven by the large banks itself. And, we are working with the promoters, we are working with finding some buyers, we are working with the regulators to get the policies in place. And I think I must give credit to the Indian corporate sector that they are also very openly looking at these suggestions and really working towards deleveraging. So, my belief is that we should segregate what is recognition and what is resolution of stress, and we should really focus towards resolution. I think you even heard the RBI governor say the same thing in the credit policy. And in a growth economy like ours, where a lot of these assets have been put on the ground, these assets are good quality, I think it's in the interest of everybody that we work towards resolutions so that we make sure that these assets actually remain productive. And therefore, we've seen now, corporate groups either sometimes selling the projects that were in difficulty, but more so now actually selling projects which are their prime assets, so that can not only just contribute to deleveraging, but also contribute to, in fact, their ability to handle the rest of the other projects that are left with them.
I don't know if you can strictly answer this the way I'm asking you, Ms. Kochhar, but do you think the market for now is underestimating the strength of the recovery that we could see in banks, and thereby the adjusted book value a year down the line, or the kind of loan growth that comes in because now you can lend to these accounts which are getting resolved as well? Do you think the market is underestimating the strength of this recovery?
See, I will not talk about markets, but what I can specifically tell you is that a lot of resolution has taken place and a lot more is work in progress. So as I said, we've seen some very successful instances in this regard. I mean, to get a whole large cement business to be sold to another buyer, I think that's a huge set of value of resolution for the Indian banking sector. Again, so that I'm talking about the Jayaprakash deal because it's already out in the open. One can talk about it. Similarly, I spoke about some smaller companies, not that large, but for example, we took the exposure in Gammon and we broke that into 3 parts, and we've resolved it and are resolving it part by part. And now you have this big deal being talked about. So actually, what you are seeing, today is what you have never seen in the Indian corporate and banking history in terms of resolutions. And, we've been working on this for quite some time. I think we must understand that the resolutions take time, the actual results take time, but a lot of success stories have already happened, and many more are also, kind of work in progress.
Yeah, sure. My last question to you, Ms. Kochhar, and I'm sure these are exciting times, but very tough times for a bank and a bank of your size to be able to, juggle so many, glasses together. But do you reckon that resolutions of this nature may not be the same magnitude, but around this size or otherwise are coming up in the offing in the next 6 months as well? Do you reckon we'll see more of such things happening in the next 6 months?
Yeah, so as I said that, many resolutions are kind of on the way and being discussed. When they fructify is very difficult to say because you have to have the whole ecosystem to move together on that. But yes, many more resolutions are on the way and would happen. So what we need to do is we need to stay focused. We need to take resolution by resolution. We need to see it through completion. And I must add, as I said, that these are not easy tasks. Each one of the deals takes a lot of, the entire ecosystem to come together. And even when the deals are announced, for them to finally fructify, a lot of the regulatory approvals, etc., have to come together. But yes, indeed, to your basic question, a lot of these resolutions are being worked upon. And, I'm very hopeful that the system will keep working towards that. At least that's going to be our focus. As I said, we should differentiate recognition from resolution and focus on trying to make as many assets productive as possible.
I know you can't talk on a lot of things, Ms. Kochhar, considering you're in the silent period as well, but thanks so much for taking this time out and speaking with us about this very important deal and a bunch of other deals that you've done. Congratulations on all of these.
Thank you.
Find us on Facebook at facebook.com/ETNow and don't forget to click the like button. You can also follow us on Twitter at ETNowLive. To stay updated with all our programming, hit the subscribe button on our YouTube channel by logging on to youtube.com/user/ETNow.